Welcome to BesTeas, where the tea is hot and the laughs are even hotter.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Sean.
We're your favorite duo.
Ready to spill with you, dish with you, and serve up all the laughs.
Let's get into it.
Hey besties, it's time to stir the pot. Because today we're talking about unpopular opinions. You know, the thoughts that you keep to yourself because you know people are going to come for you. Well, we're saying them out loud. Whether you agree, disagree, or want to fight us in the DMs, we're here for it. So buckle up because things are about to get spicy. Before we spill, we need to hear from the complaint department. Sean, what do you have for us?
So my complaint this week is I got my fucking card, like my information was stolen. So I got the fun little call from my bank saying, was this you? And I'm like, nope, it wasn't me. So I've been dealing with that all week, which I will say part of it is my problem because I don't know if I have just turned into someone who just doesn't care about that stuff, or if I have been busy this week, but like not busy enough to not like contact them to get a new card. But it took me like literally 4 or 5 days to actually call them and order a new card because I just didn't want to fucking deal with it. And usually you can go online, you can order it like from your bank, but for some reason I couldn't order it online. So I had to physically call them. So I finally did that yesterday, but it was funny because I kept having to take Kevin's card, like when I went grocery shopping or doing all this stuff. So we were like trading the debit card. So that was frustrating. I especially hate it when it happens because I also just laugh and say like, why do you want to steal my shit? Like, I don't have anything good. I don't have a shitload of money in there. I'm just your average everyday worker. Like, Boo does not give a shit about that. So steal from somebody else, but not from me. So that was frustrating. It also just makes me think about, this whole thing when people say TikTok is like, don't get TikTok because it like downloads your information and they have all your info. Bitch, my info is everywhere, okay? I have my card info on Amazon, on all these other fucking places. Someone could easily hack in, take my card information and go from there. Meanwhile, I don't even have my card information on TikTok. So what are they going to take from me? Like overtake my profile that has a bunch of saved videos on it? Like, I don't know. I just get so frustrated with shit like that. Our stuff is everywhere and I feel like it's inevitable, but I was doing so good. It hadn't happened for probably like 4 or 5 years and I was doing so good. And then all of a sudden, bam, took it for it was like a $45 charge on like a QR code scanner. And I'm like, no, bitch, that ain't me.
It was you, wasn't it?
Yep, it was me getting that QR code ready so people could take a pic and take it right to my OnlyFans.
No, I was going to say, you've been scanning my code. I know it.
But I had to lie because Kevin can't find out, So I was like, no, that ain't me. That ain't me.
Not me.
Dead. So yeah, that's my complaint this week. I'm over the debit card information stealing. I'm over it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, wait, I do have to say one thing positive. As you can see, I'm still living and breathing and I'm smiling.
Yes!
I passed my test!
Yeah, she did, with flying colors. And this bitch called me and tried to make it look like, she was like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, bitch. And then she's like, just want to let you know I passed. I was like, yeah, you did. You fucking manifested it. You did it. Proud of you.
I don't think I manifested it, and I also don't think I passed with flying colors. I was 8 questions away from not passing.
Listen, you passed. That's what matters.
Hey, I will take it, and I'm gonna run with that shit.
Yeah, you are.
If I don't have to look for another job and do the interview and blah blah blah, I'm good.
God bless. God bless for taking the test.
But I do have 30 complaints. I'm a little bit on the heavier side of complaints.
Let's hear them.
When you're hosting a party and people are like, what can I do? What can I do? Like, you can do nothing. When I go to people's houses, I want to sit there and not ask people what I can do to help them. I'm a guest. Sit down and shut the fuck up. Like, don't help me. Like, I'm doing something. What, do you want to hold my hand while I chop? Like, what? Like, this is a one-person job. I don't like it. I hate when people...
Wow. I'm shocked. I mean, I guess, are you talking about like before they come, they say like, what can I bring or what can I make?
Oh,
Or
no,
is it when they're there?
No, if they want to bring something, I always say, like, you know, if you want to bring something to share, dessert or app.
Okay.
But like when I'm like, usually I'm like prepped to the max. Like, to the max. Like, everything's done, ready, set to go when people come. But like, if people do come earlier or whatever, or I'm just literally like chopping something. Like, if it's like garlic bread to be served, it just came out of the oven, we're ready to eat. I'm chopping. Oh my God, is there anything I can do? And like 5 people ask you, you're like, what the fuck? You want to hold the bowl? Like, what do you, I don't know what, just shut up. I don't.
That's when you should joke and just be like, what, am I not doing it right? Fine, here, cut it. Just freak out.
I felt bad. My aunt kept asking, and I was like, this kitchen's just not big enough for 2 people. She's like, well, my kitchen's a lot smaller, and I let everyone help. I'm like, I don't care!
Get out!
Literally, like, I wish we had, what are those, like a waiter's pantry?
Oh, a butler's pantry?
Yeah, where like you can like prep stuff or like close me in there because don't let anyone come in.
For real. Let me take a few deep breaths, take a shit in the corner, and then keep going about my day.
Like, just be a guest. Or when people start to like wash your dishes, I'm like, can you cut this shit? Like, first of all, I probably don't trust the way you wash dishes. I want them clean.
I am dead.
And second of all, no, don't touch my shit. Because the thing is, if you're gonna not clean them right, I'm gonna have to do it again. And also, if you break something, now I'm gonna be pissed because I fucking told you not to. So.
Yeah, I feel like it's that common thing that we've grown up with, right? Of like, make sure you're always asking to help, or like, make sure if there's anything you can do, like you're asking or whatever. So I think it's stemming from that. But there are people like you who are prepped and are prepared and don't necessarily want the help. They just want people to like enjoy and have fun. So I'm all about that. But I can see, you know, your sweet aunt asking, you know, I know why, because we just love her and she's the best. But yeah, I think I'm kind of the same way too. Like when people come over, I just want people to like have fun, relax. Like I'll pick it up later or tomorrow or do whatever. But I do know usually when people say like, what can I do to help? Like if there's something to cook or whatever, I'm like, preheat the oven, throw this in. Like that would be a huge help for me. Like, you know, whatever. But yeah, I get it. Like most of the time you're already ready for all these guests, so you don't really need help.
Right. And I hate when people are like, oh, could you just peel and chop these potatoes? I'm like, I'm a fucking guest. No, I don't. I made my side. I made my side. I made my dessert. And I actually don't want to do any more. I'm going to go in the living room. Thanks for asking. Like,
I got my trifle right here, Betty. Thanks.
Right. I got my trifle and I got my cheese and cracker charcuterie board. No one asked, like nobody helped me on this. I'm not going to help you. You wanted this party. I didn't. You invited me. I'm the guest. I'm acting as one.
Dead.
And like, I never show up empty-handed, I don't think. There's going to be one person that's like, yeah, she always does, but...
Anytime you've ever come to a party at my house, you never are empty-handed. So I can attest to that. That's definitely true.
Right. I mean, unless someone was like really struggling and like shit went wrong and like shit like out of the ordinary. But if you're
right,
if you're fucking hosting, like get it together. Don't host. Like
totally. What else you got, Britt? What else is bothering you, girl?
Oh my God, when you're like listening to a song and someone's fucking like tapping or like stomping their foot to the beat, but it's not even the beat. I'm like, what the fuck beat are you following? Like, just shut the fuck up.
That's like someone chewing with their fucking mouth open. It's like, can you just stop? Just stop. Either go with it or don't. Or like the best part is it it reminds me of when I was a kid and my mom used to do yard work outside and she would listen to her iPod shuffle and it was that stick that used to literally go around your neck. It was literally like this tiny little thing and I would always know what she was listening to, but she would never know the words or like the verses. So she'd just be like, "Was hey, yeah, was,"
My
and
fault too.
I'm like, what are you doing? What? Sorry. You didn't need to do that. You could have kept it in the fridge.
Kevin, come say hi to the fans. Oh, what do we have?
He got me a little smoothie.
Ooh.
My God. It's like, don't.
Well,
Thanks, honey. Yeah, he got me a little smoothie.
I love that. How is it?
He likes me. It's good.
What's
Hey, this is a banana one?
Throw it at the wall. Throw it at the wall.
This isn't what I ordered. All right, anyway.
Tastes like shit.
Right? I taste too much banana. So yeah, that's what I remember the most is like and I used to get so annoyed too when I was little of like, God, she doesn't even know the words and like she's ruining the song. And then I'd come in like fucking Mariah Carey in the booth, like, no, this is how you do it. Like do my fucking thing, thinking that I was all good and shit.
You were always good about knowing the words and really hitting the high notes, so.
Yo, I always know the words. Hitting the notes, that's a whole nother story.
You were hitting them. And oh my God, we were at Shaw's getting Jeff's parents like deli meat and sandwiches for the week. And we were waiting in line and there was a guy ahead of us and then this other woman, like, so the man was being helped next to us. This woman comes in between the man and us. And I'm like, bitch, we're next. Because they didn't have like the normal tickets that a deli does because they must not be busy. And I'm like, me and Jeff look at each other. We're like, what the fuck? Like we were trying to get like in and out because we had to be at his parents for a certain time. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then she's like, oh, are you guys in line? I'm like, no, we're getting our taxes done. Like, what the fuck do you think we're doing? Yeah, we're in line facing the deli. What do you think we're doing? No, we're grocery shopping right now. We're clearly like grabbing stuff. Like, what?
I'm just observing the different sizes of deli meats.
Right, the thickness.
I was trying to compare how big my ass cheek is to my husband's penis by looking at these pepperonis and the uncured meat section.
Yeah, do you know there's 57 different types of bologna? I'm just doing research.
Yeah, right? Literally. Oh, this is for my school paper. I'm taking notes on the different species of bologna.
Literally. So
is it bologna or bologna? Just start asking random fucking questions.
Yeah. Pimento loaf.
Dead.
So yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, that's what you got. Okay, so let's dive right into the main topic, unpopular opinions. So we had so many of you send in some really great unpopular opinions. We also have some ourselves. So we're going to read some of the ones that we've gotten from some of our lovely listeners, and then we'll review some of ours. So, Britt, why don't you kick us off with the first one?
Okay, she sent in a recording and she said I could play it, but I won't say her name. But girl, she is on point.
Yes, play it.
Okay, so it's 2 parts. So I'll just, once that one stops, I'll play it again.
I have so many unpopular opinions on things, but I guess one that sticks out most in my head is the new bachelorette and bachelor party culture where people have to like go big and bold and travel and go to Vegas or Miami or Nashville, and they invite, their whole bridal party as if being in a wedding isn't expensive and stressful enough between, having everybody agree to a style on a dress and everybody making the time to be able to meet and try them on. It's so much money. Like, most people can't even afford to go on vacation to these these places with their families, let alone a bachelor or bachelorette party, to go for what? Like for an Instagram post to say that you went big between renting. It only let me record for a minute, but between the costs of renting an Airbnb and all the food and the flights and the clothes and the gift that you still have to bring, it's just ridiculous. And especially for people who have kids, like I was invited to go to a bachelorette party a few years ago, and it was far away in Miami, and my daughter was only like 6 months old right then. I didn't want to go, period, but I was like, I can't just leave my 6-month-old with my husband for 4 days by himself so that I can go to this bachelorette party and spend, $1,500 by the time all is said and done. Yeah, there's mine.
Perfect.
I love it.
Oh
well,
my
she
God.
did say, which she said, she said, yes, you can, even though my thoughts are so scattered, ADHD to the max. I was like, no, you totally got your point across. Like, that was a good one. So.
What are your thoughts on that, Brittany? I know you're kind of going through it right now, being a maid of honor and trying to plan stuff. So what are your thoughts about that?
See, she didn't want to go big, but like part of me wanted her to go big only because I don't travel and I don't have kids and like whatever. But she was like, no, I just want it to be low key. But like I was like, if you want to go to Florida and like not like thousands of dollars, but like if you wanted to go somewhere, sure. But I mean, planning this, like things do add up. You have an Airbnb and like not everyone is on board. So like you have to really take into account everyone. And, then you have activities and food and, drinks at the house. And, oh, do we do pajamas? Oh, do we do t-shirts? I'm doing goodie bags, which weren't that expensive, but it's like, we weren't sure, like, I've never done this before. I was like, we all split the Airbnb for the bride. And Brie was like, I can pay, like, the rest of my stuff. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to pay for and what you're not. It's just, it is a lot. I mean, if someone were to be like, Brittany, do you want to go to Vegas and we're going to do X, Y, and Z, I'd probably be like, hell no. Like, because, I mean, well, on top of Brie, right, doing a wedding, a bachelorette party, a Jack and Jill. I don't know if she's doing a bridal shower, but baby shower because she's pregnant. And there's like one other thing she's doing. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, lady, like.
What else can you fit in this year?
Right. Like, goddamn.
No, I feel that. I'm kind of on both sides of the pot here. So I've planned one and I've attended, quite a few. Some were easy, some were trips, whatever. But I definitely agree with this listener and with you of, there is a lot of work and time and commitment that goes into it. It's a lot of money. You made a great point of splitting the Airbnb for the bride. It was pretty much the same thing for one of the ones that I helped plan. We paid for the bride's flight. We paid for the Airbnb, like, because we didn't want the bride paying for anything, So it's so much expectation of like, what do we or don't we pay for? What do we do and not do? Some of those things. But I will say one of the best bachelor parties that I ever went to, my friend did it. It was, I forget what it's called, but it's basically Camp No Counselor. So it's an adult summer camp just for the weekend.
I wanted to do that.
Yeah, we all played a flat fee, and then
it was like
there's
$1,000.
Yeah, mine was a little less, I think, actually, but you all stay in cabins. There's activities, there's dancing. It's all inclusive drinks, food, everything. So like you're paying one flat fee and that's all you have to do the whole rest of the weekend. You just get to relax. Yeah, we did end up like the best man ended up doing like shirts and stuff like that. And like there were a couple theme nights. But it was great. It was relaxing, and like the place set the themes for each night. So we didn't have to come up with a theme. It was just, okay, these are the themes, bring something that will help you dress to this theme. So definitely 10 out of 10 recommend that. It's called Club something. But 10 out of 10 recommend that for people who are maybe newly engaged or planning bachelorettes or bachelor parties. Try that because that shit worked awesome.
Yeah. No, but I mean, she has a valid point, and I hope her friend wasn't like, "Oh, well, fuck you, you're not in the party," or whatever.
Right.
Like she has a 6-month-old. Like, you can't spring that on your husband. It's already stressful enough, and now you want him to not be able to like pass the baton to you. Like,
Right.
okay, if they're 5 years old, sure, like you should be able to manage a child, but also like 6 months old, like that's tough. And then you have to buy the dress, and you have to like all these planned things, and it's like, you know, if you're going to do all that, you better at least be understanding of people that can't do that, because not everyone makes the money you do. Or, you know, some people are trying to buy a house or even just afford a car payment. Like,
Yeah. But that's the thing is, I think we need to get out of that mindset of like, I can't. It's so shitty that like if you want someone to be in your party, they may say no because they'll say like, I just don't have the funds, or like financially I can't swing it. Like that sucks. If everyone in your party is not in that kind of state, like Kevin and I got married, in my opinion, pretty young. We were 26, and we, we didn't even have a lot of money. So our party, we pretty much like, we had it up in Kennebunkport, Maine at my uncle's house. So my cousin, whose dad owns the house, she was in my party. So we hosted it there. No one had to pay. We all, like, if there were any extra people there, they slept outside in tents. We just had like a bonfire. We went to the beach one day. We just did stuff that like everyone could have fun and didn't have to worry too much about, like paying for a bunch of stuff, because that's half the battle, right? Is getting the Airbnb. If it's somewhere far, then you're flying there, then you're paying for a rental car or an Uber. Like there's just a lot of things going on, and we have to get out of the mindset of, like these big luxurious things. I agree. It should just be about everyone being together, all your favorite people just getting ready to like wish you off and just have fucking fun.
right. Exactly.
Crazy.
Crazy world.
All right. So I have one that is, it kind of seems more like a statement than like an unpopular opinion, but we're gonna read it because it was pretty funny. So this person writes, personally, I believe we're due for an ice age, and even though people are burning fossil fuels, I don't believe in global warming. The climate change we are experiencing is a natural phenomenon. This doesn't mean people should pollute or in any way contribute to water or air pollution. We still have to breathe the air. I visited Canada, more specifically New Brunswick, many times, and I'm a second generation immigrant. The air is much cleaner there and in the Grand Canyon than it is where I am. So, unpopular opinion, I don't know. The vibe I'm getting from this is, you know, don't litter, don't fucking put toxic fuels in the air, don't do shit that's gonna make us all breathe in the bad shit.
I think we should, I don't know anything about global warming. I can't really speak on it, but
Dead. I mean, you know what? I do agree with this writer of, I something is bound to happen. I don't know if it's in this lifetime or the next lifetime. I don't know if it'll be an ice age, but because our planet is naturally getting warmer and warmer. But I mean, I don't know. I'm waiting for like California and Florida to just like float away and become islands in and of themselves, or just get completely fucking buried in water with all the bullshit going on. So I agree. I mean, we gotta keep this shit clean. I know you don't necessarily believe in global warming, but it sounds like you're all for clean air, clean energy, all that shit. So I'm right there with you.
feel like you can take a deep dive on that because, like, okay, so you have a Tesla, but then they're talking about, like, you know, you're not, like, burning whatever. But then they have, like, these cars that when the batteries go, what do you do with the batteries?
Yes, that's literally what I was gonna say. Same with solar.
Yeah.
Like everyone says solar is so great. I myself at my previous home, I did have solar. But then after I got solar, you find out about like, oh, well, if you get rid of solar, like there's no proper way to really get rid of it. So there's a lot of clean energy things that we're doing that I think are still a little sus in terms of disposal and how people are handling that.
Yeah. Agreed. So, a bunch of listeners sent ones in about children, which I agree with. One of mine, I'll just say right now, one of mine, because these kind of like go with that. My unpopular opinion was not everyone should be having children, and it's not just something you do.
Wow, love that.
It's not just like, okay, you graduate high school and then like maybe you go to college or you start a job and then you get married and then you have children. Like, no, not everyone should have children. And if like it's not just something that like it's not a milestone you hit. Like, okay, so and let me dive into the first one. Children should not obey adults blindly. This is not the essence of respect. Most adults who command respect are in fact very disrespectful to children. And like something I thought of when I read that was like in Matilda, when the dad's like, listen, you little wiseacre, I'm smart, you're dumb, I'm big, you're little, I'm right, you're wrong, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you should not be talking to children that way, and you may not be saying those exact things, I'm big and you're little, but when you hear adults talk to children, they're saying that in like not those exact words, but it's awful.
My biggest thing when I had kids was like if I am disturbed or like shocked by what they're saying, odds are the child is as well. So like if someone says something crazy, if I like do a double take or I'm like, did they really just say that? The child probably feels 10 times worse. So I get it. I was always, some people may think that I was kind of like an over explainer, but I used to try to just help them identify and understand what was going on rather than just saying because I said so or because I'm your dad or because of this or because that. Like I used to hate that because I said so. I used to hate that. It was like, okay, but why? Like I need more detail. I need more explanation in terms of what's going on or why you're making the decision you're making. So
Right.
I agree with that.
100%. Do you want me to keep going because they all have to do with kids?
Yeah, let's do all those.
Okay. The next one was making sure your child gets a solid high school education or a solid education. They put high school in parentheses. That should come before searching for the glory in their sports, dance, cheer, or just in their teenage job. So like making sure that they're like, you know, succeeding in school instead of being like, no, you have soccer, focus on soccer, you know, all the things.
Yeah, I get that. I think, honestly, I think it's going to be hard for some people to get away from that. I think there are people that when their kids are naturally gifted at something, they push them to just keep doing that one thing so they can get the scholarship or play football or play baseball or whatever. But I do know people that are very much, well, if you love the sport and you want to go to a good school and play the sport, you need to work really hard and get good grades. But I don't know if everyone kind of feels and thinks that way. So I don't know if that's ever anything that we're going to get away with. However, I will say I'm all for trade school now. Like I think the price of college and some of the other things has gone absolutely bananas. And obviously, I got a master's degree, so I'm very supportive of going to school, but I'm also very supportive of people wanting to learn a trade instead and just going to a trade school for high school, learning a trade, getting their way into whatever said trade is or profession, and then slowly work their way up or get a degree if they want and have someone pay for it, or they just like where they're at and they don't have to worry about, you know, all these loans and all these other things. Like if I could do it all over again, I probably would have done things a little differently. So I think that's why it's never going to go away. It's going to be hard to go away because I think everyone always has different perspectives and perceptions on what they think is best for their child or children in general.
Yeah, I know. I wish I did get accepted into Monty Tech, and I didn't go because I didn't have any friends, but I wish I did because then I would have known if I did like a trade. Like you test out,
Yep.
I don't know, maybe like 3 or 5. So
You test out 8.
Is it 8?
Yeah, because I went for 2 months and then I couldn't deal with it, so I transferred back to our high school. But I went there looking for a fresh start, and same thing. I didn't have any friends, and I wish I had stuck it out longer, but I at the time just I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, then I would have known at least if there was something else I could fall back on. And then if you
Right.
cosmetology school, I mean, they had welding. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right, because at the end of the day, even if you don't end up going into the trade, like if you do decide to still go to college, like you said, that's still a cool ass skill to learn. Like, oh, you could, go to school for nursing and then you took all these welding classes. So you could make these little like metal welded signs on the side and have like a little side hustle. Like, there's so many benefits to it. So yeah, I think we went on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think it's good for, anybody, but yeah, anyone's going to do what they want to do.
Yeah. This one is children's and families need downtime and family time. Being overscheduled and racing from one structured activity to the next is not normal or healthy. Children benefit from engaging and learning from parents. Learning 17 different mediocre skills is actually not beneficial to long-term success or happiness.
I could not agree more, honestly. Yeah. And that is such an unpopular opinion because I think so many people, I know people, right, that are like, well, I want them to try everything. I want them to try it, see if they like it, and whatever. And that's great. Like, I'm all for that as well, but let them try it if they ask or if they want to. I feel like just putting them into every single sport so they can try it or talking to them a lot about a particular sport to get them to try it is not necessarily the way. I think it's okay, like if they come home from school and they're like, oh, I've been hearing a lot about this is something I want to try. Great, okay. But, helping them understand too, like, you have to stick it out if you don't like it. Like, you're going to have to stick it out for the full season because we paid money for this and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's also okay, like, if the kid doesn't like it, like, I think everyone as a parent, again, like when you put so much pressure on yourself to like try to make sure you're doing anything and everything for the kids and like going above and beyond and making sure that they're the best they can be. But you have to remind yourself, like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. And I am all for like self-soothing, like doing something by themselves, even as a family, but also let the kids do something by themselves. Like if they can go play by themselves and use their imagination and just like cool off for a little bit, have some relaxation time, like that's perfect. Like that's, in my opinion, like that's what should happen because it helps regulate, it helps regulate like their imagination, their growth, self-play,
even their nervous
like all
system. Even
right.
If they're constantly going, you're waking up, you're going to soccer, and then you're in the car again, and you ate lunch fast. Come on, we have to go. We have this, and you have to go. We have that. Like it's like you're never getting a second, and then they're gonna get so addicted to like go, go, go that they're never gonna be able to like deal with anything or process anything because they're constantly just like, let's go, let's
right,
go.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't give kids enough time to process, and they need time to process. Like, think about us adults. Like, sometimes I need my own fucking space for 5 minutes to just like cool off. Like, everyone needs it.
Right. No, exactly. And then this last one. Toddlers and young children should not be punished for temper tantrums. They don't know how to handle their escalated emotions at that point that they've reached their limit. They need calmness and caring to eventually learn how to cope. Otherwise, the child will grow to feel ashamed of having elevated emotions and shut down and isolate when this happens.
I agree.
I agree too. I mean,
it's hard though. It's hard. Like, even if you agree with it, it's hard sometimes to not want to like put them in a timeout or help them understand that like what they're doing is not okay, but there are other methods and ways to help them relieve stress or share what they need to share or whatever.
I mean, I feel like sometimes even I have temper tantrums. It's like you reach a point and then you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But
and a lot of times they could just be confused because they can't articulate their thoughts either.
100%. And also, like, they've only been on, like, toddler, they've only been on this planet for 2 to 3 years. You can't expect them to be at the level you are, being here for, anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40, whatever, years.
Right.
Like, give them a break. Like, sometimes, like, when I was a preschool teacher, I'd be like, this child has only been on this earth for 4 years, and, like, they are hilarious. Like, how? This is crazy. Like, sometimes I'd be like, what the heck? Like,
yeah.
What?
I know, it's crazy. I think one thing that I love that my sister has always done with her kids that I kind of adopted when I had my kids for a brief time was anytime they would get upset or frustrated, their initial reaction is to like start crying or freak out or like run to you and, go crazy. And she always just looks at them calmly and just says, take a deep breath. And she'll like take a breath with them. And it helps bring them down a level for them to then explain what's going on and explain their thought process and help her and them see eye to eye and just kind of come at a level playing field. Like, I used to do that all the time, especially when things would get confusing for the girls that I had, and every now and then when they would act up or get crazy, it would just be like, okay, take a deep breath. Like, I understand your I would always say, like, I understand you're feeling some specific way. And I would have like a little chart and be like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling mad, sad, whatever? But just like helping them take a minute, I think helps for sure. So yeah, punishment is not always the answer.
For sure. All right.
Shit, goddamn.
Do you want to go over the 2 that you have?
Sure. So I have one from a listener that says, unpopular opinion, Taylor Swift is overrated. This person thinks that Taylor Swift is overrated. And you know what? Don't come for me, folks. I hate to say it, but I agree with this listener. I think she is highly overrated. I think she is good. She has good songs, but it is unbelievable to me that people spend the asinine amount of money that they spend to go and see her, when in my mind, I just don't think it's worth it. I would spend that much money for someone like Adele or Lady Gaga or someone else. But again, that's personal preference. I get that, she sings all these breakup songs and men suck and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I agree as well. I think that I think that she is overrated. I am trying my best because I've had some people come for me. I'm trying my best to get into her. And I do like her songs. I think she's a good singer. I just think I don't know how she exploded to the level that she did.
Yeah, I think she's good too. And I think she did explode because she's not doing drugs and you don't see her drunk out. Like, there's like parents like her music because they can relate, kids can relate. It's poppy, it's fun, it's the bracelets, it's everything that comes along with it. It's, I mean,
I guess that's true.
If I could, I would take my nieces to go see her, but like I don't have an extra $3,000 for
nosebleeds.
For one ticket. I don't have
Right.
$9,000.
Right.
But I mean, I think it would be an amazing experience. I mean, you see everyone, you know, videotaping themselves the second she comes on, and everyone around them, including themselves, is just sobbing because it's just such. I did that with Zach Bryan. I literally spent $400, which I thought was like so much money. And then you see Taylor Swift tickets for the fucking nosebleeds going for $1,400, and I paid $1,600 for 4. Like, and I'm like, $400 is a lot. Like, that is probably the most that I would ever spend on a ticket.
I've never spent that much on a ticket.
Yeah, what was Shania Twain? Like, under 100?
Because we paid for lawn seats and we just did our due diligence to get there early. I think the most I ever spent on a ticket was maybe $140.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I just, anytime it's like 200, okay, maybe I can flirt with, but if I'm paying $400 for a single ticket, I'm sorry, like, I will watch the recording, like, at home.
I was on one.
Yeah. Okay, so another one that we got from a listener, and I don't really agree with this listener. I know who wrote it, and I'm pretty mad, but they said Titanic is a horrible movie. And
I agree.
What? Brittany, oh my gosh. I freaking love that movie.
Who has the time?
I know, it is like a 3-hour movie. It is long.
I'm busy that day.
I am dead. I mean, it is kind of like one of those, like, Avatar or one of those long ass movies that, like, you only watch once every, like, fucking 6 or 7 years because it's so long. Mm-mm. Oh God, I love it.
We all know how it ends before we even watched it. Spoiler alert, no thanks.
I know, and there's always this back and forth of, like, could Jack have survived? Like, could he have made it on that thing?
On that with her?
Or find another fucking flotation device. Like, come on. But I think it's good. So I guess this is a true, like, qualm here. Like, we need some votes to come in from listeners of who is for Titanic and who is not for Titanic.
I remember when my sister got that on Christmas.
VHS.
Huh? Yeah.
Did she get it on VHS with the 2 tapes?
Yeah.
She was thick. That girl was thick.
Yeah. And I got the movie Billboard Dad. And I was like, they're like, yeah, we can watch your movie after, Brittany. And I just remember sitting there like, when the fuck? And they're like, tape 2. I'm like, tape 2? I'm like, do we get to watch mine twice?
Dad. Oh, well, I'm glad that brings up some trauma for you too, Brett.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you.
Perfect. That was very 90s of you, flipping your hat back. I love it.
What unpopular opinions do you have?
So one of my unpopular opinions that I have actually does have to do also with the show. And a lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I also think that The Office is overrated.
See, I see clips and I'm like, that's hilarious. I've never sat down to watch it. Jeffrey and I, if it's on TV and like we don't have anything, we'll pop it on.
Yeah.
And watch it. But like, they're like quick one-liners. Like, it's
just... Okay, but see, I think I have realized this weakness about myself is I think dry humor for me is very hard.
You don't like me?
Oh, I think you have more than dry humor. Like, there are things that are just... Okay, so first of all, I'm not a big fan of Steve Carell. So, like, right there, I'm already kind of like, because he's the main character. And I just, like, some stuff is funny, but I feel, like, uncomfy with some of the scenes because they're just so fucking awkward that you're like, what do you do? Like, how do you, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird.
What was your thoughts on the CPR one?
I don't know if I've gotten that far.
Where he puts the thing on his face?
No, I
Oh
definitely
my
have
god.
not gotten there.
I'm gonna find it on TikTok.
I am watching it. Like Kevin and I have been like, when there's nothing else on, we'll flip between like Friends and The Office. But it's just like I'm waiting to get there, and everyone keeps saying like give it time, give it time. But right now, like it's a good show. I just don't think it's as good as everybody else says it is. Like I
Fine.
think Parks and Rec is far more funny than The Office, to be honest. But maybe that's just because I love Amy Poehler. You
Yeah, I
know,
haven't seen that one.
that one's good.
One of mine is corned beef and cabbage is disgusting. Speaking of St. Patrick's Day.
Oh my god, my little Irish heart is breaking.
Ew, that's like the worst meal I've ever had.
You have not had it right.
It's the worst. Not raw potatoes, but like boiled potatoes and boiled carrots. Like, no thanks.
There's also cabbage. There's
Yeah.
corned beef.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you put a little bit of vinegar on the cabbage. Oh, so good. Oh my god. I'm definitely Irish because I like it. Kevin isn't a big fan of it either, but I really, really enjoy it.
Good
what
for
about
you.
do you like a Reuben? Like, do you like Reubens?
I love Reubens.
Interesting. Because that's like corned beef in a sandwich.
Right, but it has like Thousand Island dressing, and there's sauerkraut,
and there's cheese.
Right, there's carbs, there's bread, like
there's sauerkraut, Bobby.
Right, Bobby would be pissed.
Damn. All right, what else you got?
Is that all you had?
I think I have one more, but I have to remember it. So I want you to go first so I can remember it.
Okay, when something says not tested on animals, I'm like, so I have to be the guinea pig? Not that I want it to be like tested on puppies, but like, what happened to the mouse testing? Let's test it on them. They leave shit all in my basement. They chew the wires in my car. This toothpaste I'm using maybe should be tested on animals. I don't want to be the guinea pig.
I'm dead. You know what, too? Maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but it made me think of, I hate commercials, too, or products where it's like, Colgate, 1 out of 4 dentists recommend, or whatever. And people are like, oh my god, yeah. And do people ever stop to think that maybe they only ever asked just 4 dentists? And 1 out of 4. Like, I feel like everybody's always like, oh my god, that's like so many people. But it literally could have been they only asked 4 dentists and only 1 person said, yes, like I recommend it.
Nothing they say is true anyways, but...
No, exactly.
But I'm like, not tested on animals. I'm like, should I be brushing my teeth with this?
Yeah, for real.
It was my Trader Joe's toothpaste. They just came out with it. And I was reading the bottom, I'm like, what's in this that's so great that, like, my whatever one didn't have? And then it said not tested. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, I don't think I want to use this either.
For real. For real. I don't know if this is safe or not. Unpopular opinion when people say if you just chug a bunch of water before you go to bed after drinking, you won't wake up hungover. You are not 30 if you're saying that, because let me tell you, it worked at one point in life, but it does not work anymore. No matter how much water you chug, you will still wake up feeling like shit.
I agree, and going to the bathroom 5 times because you're fucking drunk ass.
For real. Just to take a fucking piss.
Right.
Dead.
Unpopular opinion, Invisalign for adults, probably worse for children, but I'm a responsible adult. I never have mine in. If I just had braces, I'd be good. But I wear them to bed. And like, you're supposed to wear them for 22 hours. Do you think I sleep for 22 hours? No, I barely make it 6. Okay? So... Your
teeth are looking good though, so it's working.
Well, I mean, oddly enough, literally, I have like spaces in between the back of my teeth because I have this one tooth that like sticks out, and so like all the back teeth are like moving back, so there's like gaps to make room so this tooth will eventually drop down. And he's like, wow, it looks great. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you, sir. But I'm like, yikes, like I need to be better about that. But I've just been like, studying for this test and like stress eating, so like you can't have your Invisalign in. You can't, like, you have to only drink water, and you can't eat with it in. So it's like you really can't do much with it in. So
I know. It's the price people pay for wanting like the convenience of not having to have braces in their mouth, but people don't always follow through with it.
Oh my God, I wish I just got braces. I think probably braces happen, like everything happens a lot faster, to honestly.
Yeah.
Do you have any others?
That was it for me. I just had those 3.
Funerals, do away with them. Wakes, goodbye. That is so morbid. It's disgusting. I don't want to be in a room with a dead body. Like, that is a corpse we're looking at, and it doesn't even look like what they're supposed to. And how do you look at them and not be like, yeah, their mouth is sewn shut and they're embalmed right now? Like, no thank you. And if it's a closed casket, how do we even know the body's in there? We don't. It could be nothing. But, like, why are we walking up to this? I don't go to them. I feel horrible. Jeffrey's going to one today for someone at his work. She's a lovely lady. Her poor husband passed away. He had cancer. But, like, also another thing about, never mind it being, disgusting for, like, ugh. I cried the entire time. I don't know this, like, I've met this man. I've said hello, in passing. I've never hung out with him. I would be sobbing the entire time because my thoughts during a funeral or a wake is, this poor woman has to live the rest of her life without her husband. These poor children, some of them aren't married. Some of them don't have kids. And, like, I'm going to cry now. I'm like, that is the saddest freaking thing. And what? People are going to walk up to me and be like, how long did you know Sean? And I'm going to be like, I met him a couple times. And they're like, wow, you're really upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking sad. Like, I'm literally crying right now. But I'm like, can't we just do a celebration of life? Like, tell funny stories, have a couple drinks, talk about the good times. Like, everyone wearing black, like what vibe are we trying to set? Like, let's get rid of them.
Yeah. And you know what? It's actually funny that you bring this up because my dad recently had a friend pass, and I was talking to my mom about if they were doing any sort of services or anything like that. And she said, no, they're not doing anything. And I said, oh, wow, like that's new because you don't hear that all the time. And she said, yeah, his big thing before he passed, again, he had cancer, and they used to host parties all the time. Like, hey, come hang out with us, basically take advantage of the time that you have with me now before I'm gone. And he had so many parties, and he said if people didn't come to those parties, I don't need them. Like, I don't need a funeral or something. So all these people who never made an effort when I was alive to come, and now all of a sudden because I'm dead, they're going to make an effort. And, like, think about how much money it saves. Like, just to cremate somebody nowadays, I think is close to $5,000. And that's just cremation. That's not buying a casket, funeral services, wake, like all of that stuff. I agree with you. We need to, like, break from that tradition and start doing something different, because it is just, it's getting too crazy. And it's sad that people are now, like, they're commercializing or just, like, making so much money off of people dying.
Yeah. And
it's crazy.
Like, right. And then you have the wake one day and the funeral the next. Then you have to take 2 days off of work. And, like, I'm sure someone dealing with their husband, parent, sister, brother, uncle, whatever, like, now they have to live through 2 days of it. And, like, yeah, it's nice to see everyone, but it's like you're not going to see them ever again until the next funeral.
Yeah, I know. And when you're take it from someone who has stood on the receiving line of people who, come through when my grandparents died, you hear, I'm so sorry for your loss so many times that, like, it just becomes numb because you're hearing the same thing over and over again. It was funny. I joke around a lot. Well, I don't joke around, but I tell people a lot now, and it's something that I've taken when I go to funerals and wakes. I used to look forward to someone coming in line and they would tell me a story about my grandfather or my grandmother. Like, it wasn't just I'm so sorry, whatever. It was hey, good to see you. you know, one of my favorite memories was this, this, and this. Like, I used to love that because I'm like, tell me stories, tell me things that I didn't know. I don't want to sit in this line and just keep having people come through saying, I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry for your loss. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you're dealing with it for sometimes like wakes are a good 4 to 5, whatever, 3 to 5 hours, I would say. So that's a long time, like standing in line, just hearing from people.
Right.
The same thing.
Yeah. Another thing I think we should do away with is like have a wedding, yes, but like I think we gotta like step away from like long ass weddings. Now it's like 95 degrees out, everyone's sweating, and your reverend, your priest, your justice of what, like all they're just rambling and rambling and rambling, and then you ramble and ramble and ramble, and then your husband rambles and rambles, and then they go off for 2-3 hours to go get their pictures done. There's no food you can drink, everyone's starving. Then finally they come back and you're like, when is this food coming? And it's not even good food, and it's like, all right, can we just get to the dancing? Like that's the fun part. Let's just get to the dancing, because no one talks about what a beautiful ceremony. No one gives a shit about what words you have to say to each other. Say them alone. Goodbye.
Yeah. Just do a quick elopement. Do something quick.
Yeah.
Have a little party afterwards.
Yes. Yes.
Love it.
Okay, my last one. I think you could be in a relationship and be able to say, like, you're at a restaurant or whatever and be like, oh, like, that guy's hot. Or, like, Jeffrey could be like, dang, she's pretty. Like, I said to Jeffrey last night, because I was reading him my Unpopular Opinions, I was like, I think you should be able to say people are hot. And he's like, yeah, I don't listen to you half the time anyway. So I was like, perfect.
Wow, great.
But if he said something like, oh, she's really pretty, I'd probably agree. Like,
yeah.
You should be comfortable enough in your relationship to be like,
yeah.
People are still good looking. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I want to finger bang the shit out of it. Like,
oh,
like, you know? Like, you don't have to, like, say
I want those juicy undies.
Right. But I think you should be able to, like, be comfortable enough in a relationship to be like, oh, yeah, they're good looking. Like,
yeah.
oh, my God. Like, sometimes they'll be like, dude, her ass is, like, perfect. Like,
yeah.
I want to look like her.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Kevin and I do that all the time. Like, oh, that person's really attractive, or he's, you know, cute, or he's hot, or whatever. Like,
right. Like,
I think it's healthy. You have to be able to talk about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, some people are like, oh my God, I could never. It's like, for what? Like,
right,
like,
why?
Some people can't even say, like, dang, like, Patrick Dempsey, he's so hot. Like right. You can't even say that.
Like, it's not like you're, like you said, it's not like you're going to go and facilitate an action with that. It's just you think they're attractive. Like, that's not a bad thing.
Right. I think you should be able to, I think it should be fine to be like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah.
For real. Oh, love those, Britt.
Come on in. Now we have mine. Oh, mine's coming empty-handed, though. Sean got a smoothie. This might break.
Hey! He's all dressed up.
He went to a funeral.
It's woodworking teacher.
Woodworking teacher.
Sorry.
I forgot to plug in my microphone. How was it?
You could have gone. It was nice.
Oh, I don't. I told you.
Could have gone, Britt. What the fuck?
I told you I'd be crying the whole time. And they'd be like, how long did you know Sean? Or you his niece? And I'd be like, I don't even know.
They don't ask that stuff. They say, thanks for coming.
No, I'm saying, like, I'd be so upset. They'd be like, oh my God, you must have been, like, a really close friend.
Does your camera move when you move?
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, that's nice. Look at that. Fall in your face.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
Where are you, in a closet?
Sometimes it zooms in and zooms out.
Bedroom?
It is.
Bedroom.
It is your bedroom. All right, let us finish the pod.
I gotta go change. Bye.
Can I have a smoocheroo?
No.
Oh.
I gotta go change. Bye.
I literally said, can I have a smoocheroo? He goes, no.
Oh, I heard.
Let's get Zac Efron on the line.
All right, besties. Now it's time for a completely different vibe. The roast. That's right, folks. Each week, we conduct a roast review where we pick a series, movie, or maybe even a guilty pleasure and give you all our honest, unfiltered take. What's worth your time, what's not, and what had us yelling at the screen let's get into it. Brittany, what is your roast this week?
I just watched on Hulu. It was like a documentary on Ruby Frankie. She had a
Ruby Frankie.
She had a YouTube channel that had like 2 million followers. It was called 8 Passengers.
Okay.
And it like opens with like her 12-year-old son. It opens with a 911 call from like a neighbor. And he's like, I have a 12-year-old boy here. He looks like he's starving. He hasn't eaten days. He has duct tape. He has wounds. He's been beaten. And like, keep in mind, her YouTube video is called 8 Passengers. Because she's like showing her life with 6 kids and like all this stuff, and and she's like a fraud basically, and she like beats her children and like.
Oh my god! So is this a good roast? Like a yes, go watch it, or is this like a wasn't as good as you thought it was?
It wasn't as long as I thought there was gonna be like a second or third part, but it was just like one quick like episode thing, which I was like, oh, I wish there was more. But it was interesting. It was about, she's Mormon, and then she worked closely with this woman who was like the #1 counselor for like their church or whatever it's called.
Okay.
And it was just interesting. But what do you have?
Damn. So mine is similar. It's a show on Netflix that I had to watch because it is like one of those stupid reality TV shows that I was like, I need to just like binge and see how this is. And it was absolutely exactly how I thought it would be. It was complete trash. It's called Temptation Island.
Oh.
And it is literally the like I feel like we are running out of ideas. I also found out through a coworker that this was actually a reboot. There was an original show like a while ago, but Netflix rebooted it. It's 4 couples, and they basically are going there because they want to prove that they can be together despite any sort of temptations that they have. And then the 4 females, they live with like 12 men, and then the 4 men live with 12 women, and they all basically try to like tempt them into having sex with them or doing other shit. The worst part is when they introduce all the women in the beginning, all the women come up, they're all in red, like they look like shawls, and it literally looks like the Handmaid's Tale walking on the beach toward all of these people. And then the gag is, after the end of each day, they fucking show the significant others video footage of what the other people did that day, and then they basically say like, you know, how does this make you feel? Like, did you think this would happen? Blah blah blah. It's like, and then of course people start crying and they're like, I never thought this would happen. And it's like, what do you think would happen? You went on a show that was all about temptation and whether people were going to tempt you.
We thought we were stronger than this.
Right, exactly. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, you guys make no fucking sense. That show, it's so fucking stupid. But I hate it because I can't help but watch those types of shows because I'm just like, I am doing okay. Like, I'm all right. I'm a sane person, and I like can just sit there and gag and have fun and not have to fucking worry about it. But yeah, it was a stupid, stupid show. I hope it does not get renewed.
Vibes.
That's my roast.
All right. That concludes the roast.
Perfect.
Up next week, we have an episode about growth and growing out of places and people. Growth is beautiful, but it can also be lonely, sometimes evolving, leaving behind friendships, routines, or even old versions of yourself. In this episode, we'll talk about the emotional side of personal growth and how to embrace the discomfort of change. So if anyone wants to chime in, share their experience, or anything like that, feel free to do so. We are excited about this one.
Yeah, we all know when we're growing, we're changing. In the fine words of Kristen Wiig and Bridesmaids.
Dead. Love it.
But yeah, that concludes today's episode. Thank you for listening with us, gagging with us, laughing at our unpopular opinions. If we missed any or you're thinking of some now, please feel free to send them in. We'll do a recap at the beginning of next episode if we need to. But yeah, keep sending in stuff, keep showing your support. We love being able to share these things on the pod. So thank you all very much for sending them in.
Yes. And as always, in besties we trust. Bye.
Bye.